Hello there and welcome to this week's edition of Money Matters. And I'm sure you'd agree that the pandemic has put stresses and strains on most people's finances and family lives and even basic freedoms. And people want solutions to that situation. So what I want to do in this week's Money Matters is I want to share with you some thoughts that I've got about how each and every one of us can take steps to not only survive but to thrive in these post-pandemic times. Well, even if that's the thing. I mean, I'm told, or we're all told, the pandemic is here to stay. So can we ever truly say post-pandemic? It's more like ongoing pandemic, isn't it? But anyway, doesn't change the point. Here we go. I ask your apologies in advance. I'm actually going to get quite direct and even a bit emotional this week, because what I'm talking about, I deeply, truly believe in. And I also believe that unless I can convince you that what I'm saying is just truth, I'm letting you down. Anyway, let's get into the 3 things you can do to protect yourself to not only survive but thrive post-lockdown. Think back over the lockdowns. Before they actually happened, could you even imagine such a thing was actually possible? Innovations that would have happened over years or even decades happened in weeks and months. The old ways are no longer enough to protect you and your loved ones. The pandemic sped up the treadmill of change, and there is absolutely no slowing it down from here. You need a new solution. You can no longer rely on a salary or an hourly wage. Due to the new technologies, the global competitive landscape is now flat and the competition is fierce. How many huge companies have you seen, and even industries, have you seen destroyed? Here's a random 3 that I picked. Hertz Car Rental. Why did I pick them? Well, they were the first people that I ever hired a car from. Cirque du Soleil. Why have I picked those? Because that was one of the most exciting shows I've ever seen in my life and the kids loved it. And finally, Virgin Australia. Huge airline, Sir Richard Branson in Australia. So it proves however competent, capable and resilient you are, even Richard Branson had to let Virgin Australia go. What 3 would make your list? They're shocking, aren't they? Absolutely shocking. Skype and virtual meetings are now completely normal. Why would you pay a professional from Manchester to talk to you over Skype, as opposed to an equally, if not better qualified, person from Manila for say 15% of the cost? Do you think these sorts of decisions, the sorts of decisions that real people and real companies are in the process of changing right now? I tell you, nobody is safe. Will technology or robots make your job redundant? The streets of Milton Keynes or Northampton have got hundreds of autonomous, automatic food delivery robots. It's only companies like Amazon. It's, straightforward companies like the Co-op. You can order your food from the Co-op and get it delivered to your front door by a robot. On the streets of the United States, they've got more than 1,400 cars that drive about and lorries that drive about with no driver. To get the technology to that state, more than 54 billion has been invested by the big firms. So they ain't stopping. They are absolutely not stopping. So driving anything as a profession, cars, trucks, lorries, buses, forklift trucks, you can forget that in a few years' time. Nobody, my friends, is safe. The old ways are gone. Here is the real question. How do you keep yourself and your loved ones safe in the financial and economic storm that's not coming, it's here now? What do you do? What's the solution? How can you make sure you protect those that you care for? Okay, so there are 3 things that I'm going to suggest to you, and you will want to write these down. So here we go. Here's number 1. Property investment fundamentals. Get that written down. And let's have a look at some of those fundamentals right now. It's in our language. As safe as houses. Our houses are basic fundamental human need, just like food and the air that we breathe. Of course they are. Everyone needs security, shelter, warmth. Can a house be automated or made redundant? No. Humans need them. Let's look at the situation. We've got huge population growth. We're only building around half the properties, the homes that we need every year to keep up with that growth in population. We've got a massive homelessness crisis here in the UK. More than 250,000 people with no permanent roof over their head. And do you know that includes more than 100,000 children? Imagine that. Imagine being a child brought up with no permanent roof over your head, moving from B&B to B&B. That's no life. Combine that with the cheapest mortgage rates that we've ever seen in the history of mortgages, ever. And what do you think is going to happen to property prices? Which way do you think they're going to go? This is fundamental stuff here. There's far too few rental properties available, and there's absolutely massive rent increases going on. Why? Because there's not enough houses. It's very simple. So what's going to happen to property prices given everything that I've just said? I'll leave you to work it out. Service and significance. If you offer a service that's of significance to your fellow citizens, you will be handsomely rewarded. Now, what better service could you offer than somewhere safe and warm to live? What better? Over the last year, average property prices, the average house, has gone up by more than 10%. So if you just had 10 of those, each one of them would have just made you roughly £25,000. This is capital appreciation alone, not even rent or anything. So if you just had 10 properties, that increase in capital value would be more than £250,000. Imagine that. Imagine an extra £250,000 of sustainable wealth in your family's coffers in 1 year. Just imagine that. So, has this been an unusual year? Is 10% unusual? Well, no, not really. I bought my first flat down in London 38 years ago for just £9,000. That same flat is now worth more than £300,000. The average property during my investment lifetime, the last 38 years, has doubled in value every 7 to 10 years. This is just the fundamentals of property investment. I can see no other way. This trend that I've seen for almost the last 4 decades now is set to continue. Imagine you worked hard, did whatever it took to get just 10 average houses. What difference would that make to your financial security and to your family's security too? Here's number 2. What is wealth? Is it money? No. Wealth is an asset that gives you money in exchange for you not working. Think about that. Think about that. We're all groomed by the system to learn how to exchange our time for money. We're trained to sell our lives. We now know precisely how dangerous that is. You cannot afford to leave your fate, your financial future, in the hands of the system. You can't afford that risk. Even if your job is still there at the moment, how long are you going to be able to do it? How long is your health going to allow you to be able to do it? You can't take that risk. Now let's go deeper. Let's talk about true wealth. Here's my definition of true wealth. True wealth is when you've got sufficient assets that give you enough income so that you can spend your time, which is your most valuable commodity, wherever you want, doing whatever you want, with whoever you want. That is true wealth. But is this future accessible to everyone? Well, yeah. How do I know? Because it was accessible to me. I started off with no money, no property knowledge, just determination, the right education, the right support network. That's all you need. You can do this. I know you can. Imagine, literally, all the time in the world, to spend with your loved ones, to, whatever you want, wherever you want in the world. What's that worth to you? What are you prepared to do to claim that future? Do you want that future for you and your loved ones? The average millionaire has got 7 streams of income. So you not only need to do property, you need to master the various property strategies, because I want you to have multiple streams of income too. So now we have property and wealth. What is the third missing component to make this happen for you? So this is number 3, action and hard choices. Get that written down. Just imagine those fantastically difficult choices for the doctors and nurses that looked after us all during the pandemic. Who gets the ventilator? Literally, who lives and who dies? These are impossibly hard choices, and yet they have to make them by the hour. They're making these choices based on a hierarchy of needs. If they can make these impossible decisions, I know you can make the decision and take the action to become a property investor. Now that might mean we need to make our own hard choices, but I promise you, in the context of what others are having to do, it is absolutely nothing. However hard you think it is, it's nothing at all. If they can make these impossible decisions, you can make the decision to take the action and become a wealthy property investor. But you need to keep asking yourself this question. So here it is. Is what I'm currently doing with my life helping or harming the future prospects of security for me and my loved ones? Told you it was going to be a tough question. Is what I'm doing with my life at the moment creating the legacy that I want to leave? Now I want to make this really personal, and I mean this literally. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself those questions. And I want an answer. And it's very simple. It's a yes or a no. You cannot bluster your way out of this one. You cannot not decide to answer this question. It is critical for your future and the future of every single person that relies on you. Your time has always mattered, but now it matters more than ever. The pace of change is huge. I can't overemphasize how fast the world is changing. You've got to take advantage not only of every year, but of every week, of every day, of every minute. Every minute you delay could be fatal from a financial perspective. How long do you think you've got? Now, if you grab that opportunity, if you make that decision, we're living at the time of greatest change ever that the world has seen, which means there's the biggest opportunity that the world has ever seen. So here's the upside. With unprecedented rate of change comes an unprecedented rate of new solutions. Learn those new solutions and bring them to the marketplace first. This is the new gold rush. More millionaires and billionaires are going to be made over the next few years than ever before in the history of time. The fortune will go to the bold, the brave, and the swift-footed. That is why you are here right now. You were meant to be the leader for those around you, your family, your loved ones, the people that rely on you. You were brought to this time and place, and you're watching this for a reason. You are here to fight for and defend your future and your loved one's future. Remember, a hero is just an ordinary person, a person like you, a person like me, that is put into an extraordinary situation where they've got to step up to the plate, they've got to do whatever's necessary, they've got to protect the tribe. We have to develop a bias towards action, massive and immediate action, without necessarily having all the finite data. We just need to go with our gut and do what we know is right. We have to be comfortable acting and coping with all the shifting data and the ambiguity that this world always throws at us. Do you know the consequences of failure? the loss of security, the loss of legacy. Here is your solution. Property, wealth, and action. Now is the time to take swift, aggressive, and massive action. If you are committed to helping those in need, whilst freeing your time and creating legacy for you and your loved ones, here's the next step. Write #property wealth action in the comments below, and let's go. Next step. You'll see that hyperlink just beneath this video. Click on it and let's get you started on your property wealth action journey. Dead simple. You are one click away from a completely different future. Genuinely be delighted to see your thoughts beneath this video, and just tell me what you think. Tell me I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong, but otherwise I'd really appreciate it if you like this content, and I work pretty hard to put this out there for you. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and maybe even tell one or two of your friends about it. That would mean a lot to me, because I want to get my message out there to as many hundreds of thousands, millions of people as possible, because sadly most people don't realize it, but not getting ahead in life, being poor as opposed to being wealthy, is a choice. And I don't want it to be a choice that people make unwittingly. Even the basic principles of wealth, like not exchanging your time for money, that's huge to most people. They don't teach you that at school. Anyway, look after yourself, my friends. You've been wonderful. I've been Paul. See you next time.